Hi everyone, this is Garrett from Heisenware, and in this video we are going to build a remote control for the Kuando Busylight, so you can use it as a status light or status indicator. And also we are going to build a little bit of business logic which is automatically controlling the light based on backend events that we are creating within Heisenware. But first of all, I'm going to mount this one onto my mic and I'll be back in a second. Okay, as you can see, I mounted the Kuando Busylight onto my microphone so you can see it while we are building the remote control for it. And now the very first thing we have to do in order to control the light, which is connected via USB to my laptop here, is creating an agent which includes the Busylight device SDK. So that's why I'm building it for my Windows machine, and I click submit. And now we have to wait a little moment what we are going to skip in this video. All right, the download has started and I have unzipped the agent, which is now in this folder on my desktop. And in there we have an executable, which I'm going to start. And once I start it, I have to confirm I'm trusting it, and then it will appear right here. There it is, Edge Connect. And this is how it looks like. It's basically a little executable, a little program which is running on my computer, connecting in this case to my demo account via MQTT. And what it brings is the class Busylight, which is what we need in order to build the remote control. All right, now we are set up to start building, and I'm going to unfold the agent here. And in here you'll find three functions. The get devices will help us locate the position of each device. And this one here, in this case, is very easy because we have just one device. It's in position 0, and now we can use the create function. What you also see is it's a Busylight Omega in the version 2, I think. Not sure if it's also mentioned somewhere, and it's coming from Plenum. So create, how do we call the light? Let's just call it light 1. And it has the index number 0, which is what I'm getting from here. And now I can create the instance, and it appears right here below the 3 included functions. And as you can see, it provides a couple of functions that are also part of the SDK provided by Plenum, the company behind the Busylight. Get name, get tones, set light intensity, set color, and so on and so forth. I will now show you in a very small example how set color works. And it, for example, understands something like red. And I click here and it turns red. Yeah. And in order to not have the red light in my face all the time, I will turn it off for a second. So this is basically how it works, and we're going to use that later. Let's start. We said we want to automatically control the light based on some backend events. That's why I'm using a simulator here, and I can simulate a random integer, and based on that integer, I want to change the color of the light. However, I could have taken any integration and connect any data point from another data source also, but to make it easy, we're going to simulate data in this case. I'm going to simulate data or integers between 1 and 3 in order to have 3 different states, 3 different colors later. Yeah, if I trigger this one, I always get a number between 1 and 3. I will trigger this every 0.5 seconds. And now I need to create some colors, let's say, some strings that the set color will understand out of these random integers. And for that, I'm going to use a filter here. I will actually use 3 filters. And the filter will check if x is 1, or if x is 2, or if x is 3. The filter will be true or false based on this evaluation, basically. And if it's 1, I'm going to make it green with a modifier here. If it's 2, I'm going to make it red. And if it's 3, I'm going to make it blue. Close these 3. Let's see what happens if I go into test mode. You'll see they go from true to false, and then the modifier is triggered only if the filter is becoming true. Yeah. And now I can connect all these 3 to my set color function. 1, 2, 3. And now I want to trigger the set color whenever the state is changing. So I'm taking the input, connecting it to the trigger and leaving it on input change. So it basically changes or sets the color whenever the input is changing. And now I'm starting our test mode, and you will hopefully see the light changing its color every 0.5 seconds, or sometimes not, depending on the state, if it's actually changing or not. Yeah. But as you can see, it works great. And the first use case is basically fulfilled. Okay, let's go back to off. Okay, now I want to build something to be able to start and stop this behavior from the app, which is not very typical, but we can still do it. So I'm taking the off function here. Okay, let us make some space. And also adding a so-called trigger from here. And what I want is I want to click on a button, which I could call start and stop. Maybe make this one even red. Okay. So what do I want? I want to click stop to turn it off, and I want to click start to turn it on. Okay, now let's build a little workaround. We are basically creating an object now using JavaScript that is setting the min to 0 and the max also to 0. And then we are connecting it to the input of the random integer, which leads to only zeros being produced. And for the on trigger, we are setting it back to 1 and 3. Also connecting this one, trigger at once. So yeah, now it does like this. And then when I click stop, it actually stops because 0 and 0 is set. And when I click start, 1 and 3 is set. So this is how we can later start and stop it from the app. And this is basically use case number 1. To be frank, not everything from this video is very Busylight specific. However, it shows you how you can get states, modify the data, and produce new states in order then to change the color of the Busylight here and use it in your real world use cases. Okay, let's start with the second use case. And in this use case, I'm going to introduce you to the blink function, which is also part of our Busylight integration and provided by the SDK from Plenum. So in Blink, you can basically say, for example, green as a color, the on duration to 1 second and the off duration to 1 second, and then you start and then turns on and off every second. If I would change this to red, it does the same as red. If I change this to 4 seconds, then it will stay 4 seconds on and then 1 second off, 4 seconds on, and so on and so forth. I will turn it off again. So, and what we want to do is we want to create a form inside our app, which is then basically our input for the remote control. It has to have a color, and I'm going to make it a color box. I think we even have a color box, a color select. We could make it a drop-down select box, for example, but color select is very, very nice in this case. And then we are going to have I think an on duration and off duration, field name on duration. And this could be a slider, for example. The minimum is 1, maximum is 5. And the step is 1. Or we could even make the step a 0.5. Let's stick with 1, that's easier in this example. And we're going to do the same with the off duration. We could add a label 2, but not needed here. And we're going to make it a slider from 1 to 5. and also steps of 1. And now we are going to connect all of this to a memory to get the data to the backend. Didn't work. Let's try it again. Okay. And then we're going to use some JSON data modifiers in here to extract the color, for example. Then we add 2 more modifiers. Extract the on duration and the off duration. So what happens is the following. Then we pick a color here, let's say a red, and set the off duration to 2 or 3 and the on duration to 2. And this is what we will get then. Yeah. So you get an object with all the 3 key value pairs in there. And using the JSON data modifiers here, we will then split it off and use the modifiers in order to configure the blink function. And then we would need another button. So I'm going to copy and paste this one. Let it blink. You could automatically trigger the blink function by change of an input. However, we're going to use a button in this example. And now we can test our logic. Yeah, let's stick to the red. 3 seconds and 1 second, and let it blink. 3 seconds, 1 second, 3 seconds. Change the color, maybe to blue. There you go. And with stop, you can turn it off. Let's have a look at the low code that we have here. So this one here is not really required. The create is required. Then we have the random integer creation and setting the color. So this is our state generator, let's say, and we set the color. And then on top of this, we have the turn it on and turn it off functionality. And here with just 2 functions and 3 modifiers and the form, we have built a full remote control for our Kuando Busylight. And now let's check how it looks like on the bigger screen, because I'm going to show it on the bigger screen to you. And as you've seen, right, I've got already the logos in there, but this is not too interesting for this video. So I just did it before starting. And yeah, let's say this is now the remote controller. All right, let me deploy. Now the app is actually built, and we're going to see how it behaves, let's say, in reality or in production, because so far it was just the development environment. Here it is. It's our app. I could also install it. The Busylight controller, as you can see, I already put an icon, and then it looks like this. Yeah, this is nice. And it has even an icon on my laptop. I'm going to open it. I'm going to show you. Here it is. Start. This is the start of the 3 different states. It's now indicating a state, or whatever backend event is coming. It's indicated by the light, green, blue, and red. And I can stop it here. And this is the remote control. I could set it to green, for example, and say 1 second and 1 second, and then let it blink. On, off, on, off. Or to a red, let it blink. And very short on, long off. There you go. So this is how you can build a remote control, or even use automatically created backend events from any source. Yeah, it can be a database, it can be a machine control, it can be a sensor, whatever it is, and control the Busylight, which you can buy for not a lot of money, and build really, really nice use cases and digitalize your operations with it. All right, that is it. Thank you for watching. And if you would like to understand more about the Kuando Busylight, please visit the website or reach out to us. We're going to help you integrate it into your use case happily. Thank you very much. Bye.